Welcome back to Yu-Gi-Oh! Anime Review. This is part 3, and this one I'm talking about Season 3. But before I talk about Season 3, there's a few small things I forgot to talk about when it comes to the previous season. First of which is there was a couple episodes in Season 2 where Yugi and Taya went on a quote-unquote date, where they spent the day together, basically like going to the park, having coffee, going shopping for Yu-Gi-Oh! For dual monster cards, even though it's called Yu-Gi-Oh! Cards. Of course, ending up basically at the museum, learning about Yugi's past, the Pharaoh's past. So the date was kind of basically Yugi's idea in a way. Basically, to get the Pharaoh just to have a day. And there's a funny moment where Yugi says, "This is where you take over. This is where you take over, friend." And Yugi, this is what the dude is like. He's like, "What? What am I doing here?" Usually he's resting his. Usually he's just relaxing in the puzzle. It is so hilarious. Trying to think though, what else was there? Aside from that and going to the museum, learning about Yugi's the Pharaoh's past. Trying to think though, was there anything else? Nothing I can think of, no. But yeah, now to talk about Season 3, a season that had 2 story arcs with it. First was the virtual reality arc, which was essentially a filler story in a way. Though I have heard some people didn't like this story very much. Because it basically dragged on. Me, I actually freaking love this story. Simply because it's something different, even though it's a detour per se, and unlike with One Piece, with a little blue arc where it interrupted the actual story, this technically did not interrupt the actual story, just a small little detour that in the real world probably took like barely a day at most. Yeah. Where they're... Now, they actually show off Noah's fortress. That Noah is actually the main villain of this arc, who is actually Kaiba Mokuba's stepbrother. And there is a joke, I have to bring this up, from Yu-Gi-Oh! Bridge, which they call it Cancel Yu-Gi-Oh! Bridge, which was done by Ludicrevio. It was poked fun when Kaiba first saw, in the bridge version of the scene when Kaiba first sees Noah, he says, "Why do you look like me from Season 0? Because before the show, I haven't watched the so-called Season 0, which is basically based upon the original manga, which this season has been referenced several times throughout the whole course of the show. Where in that season, Kaiba's hair was green instead of being brunette like he normally is. Also, if you look at Kaiba's hair, it looks like part of it's like covering his face. It looks like you can kind of say like if you're watching a show like Kaiba, get yourself a haircut. I mean, your hair is going like right into your eye. You should get yourself a haircut. So basically, Noah redirects the Kaiba Corp blimp to his fortress. Oh, and during all this is going on, Evil Merrick is on top of the blimp, still there at the end of the season. And I'm thinking though, why doesn't he go down and actually like interact with the main villain? He just does. He just sits there. I will get to in a minute what he was doing with this whole arc. So basically, Kaiba says, yeah, Noah tells Kaiba, come out with you and your friends to come out basically to meet up with basically special guest. And Kaiba was like, nah, I'll go by myself. And then basically he said he used his stun phasers. Yes, stun phasers to fire at the blimp. Yeah, and the blimp is actually held down by giant clamps. So basically, Kaiba, Mokuba, Yugi, Joey, Tristan, Taya, Serenity, Duke. I'm trying to think though, who else was went out with them? Yeah, I think that was Bakuro's off in the Shadow Realm, so he's not coming back for a while. And they all go out and they meet like the special guest to entertain them is in fact the Big Five, the Kaiba Corp board of directors, which you finally get a chance to see. They finally get identified. I mean, yeah, they're the Big Five because you actually get a chance to see them at the start of the previous virtual reality arc back in Season 1. You actually get a chance to hear their names, and throughout the course of this arc, you get a chance to see each one of these characters' backstories one at a time. One is name, I think it was like Gansley. I don't exactly remember all the guys' names, but one guy who was a lawyer, his name was Johnson. Yeah, Johnson. Yeah, it's so hilarious. So, yeah. They meet up with them and sort of show up like virtual reality, like, yeah, we've seen this before. And then after seeing like a bogus Kaiba, who actually looks like Kaiba from Season 1, yeah, and they battles a Blue Eyes White Dragon with a whole, and they used the whole concept like deck master thing, which I'm thinking, man, this would make a good concept for a video game. Yeah, so the fake Kaiba loses, and then of course like go back to normal, and all of a sudden the floor opens, and all these 7 people just fall right in to this hole, and they all wake up at various locations. Mokuba is off with Noah for some reason. Kaiba wakes up in a row. He just wanders about for a while before they finally get to him. Yugi wakes up on a small island. Taya wakes up in a cave. Tristan and Duke wake up in a castle of all things. Joey, I think, wakes up near like some wall or someplace. I'm not sure where he is. They all ran up in random places. Serenity is chased by a dinosaur half the time. Yeah, until she meets up with Duke and Tristan, who basically wake up in a castle. And then apparently this castle has no doors, so they decide to take a couple axes and bust through the frickin' walls. Yeah. And then basically, throughout all of this is going on, basically you have each one of the people taking on various members. First you have Yugi versus the leader of the Big Five, which takes roughly about 3 episodes, and his deck master is Deep Sea Warrior, and Yugi uses Kuribo. Yeah, he uses Kuribo. And you have to basically pick out whatever deck you want to use. And of course Yugi wins a duel. Takes a little while, but he does win it. Then he goes out to find Taya, basically, because that's kind of what happens, and fights the second one, who's actually the accountant of the group, the Big Five, and his deck master is a penguin. Yeah, it's some penguin monster. I've never heard of it. So Taya takes on him in a quick little 2-parter, and he of course wins. Of course, the penguin gets defeated. Then after they leave, then they have Joey versus Johnson in a courtroom of all things. Though prior to that, there's this very weird thing where Johnson turns into Mai. Mai, of course, is still comatose since the previous season. It's like, oh yeah, trying to get Mai back because he busts through wall. Oh yeah, he's back at the blimp, even though he's still in the virtual reality thing. And he fights Johnson for a good number of 3 episodes. Beats him, though he does a little bit cheating. And Noah somehow catches on to this and threatens to delete the guy. He says, and Joey's like, no, allow him to stay, but the deal is he can continue to do. How about this? He continues dueling as long as he does not cheat anymore, because he was frequently cheating. Yeah, and of course Joey beats him, and then they show off to what Tristan, Duke, and Serenity were up to. And here's kind of the weird thing. They have a 3-on-1 duel with the guy who was the weapons designer of the Big Four. Big Five. Yeah. And Tristan loses because he gives up, though he leaves one magic card in the field. Duke and Serenity. Now, Serenity uses a card I have in my own deck, Wing Waver, which is the only time I've ever seen in the show, and she ends up actually winning the duel for the 3 of them. And Duke does a lot of heavy lifting of this whole duel because, and of course Tristan points out the fact that it's been a while since he's actually dueled. So yeah, it's been a while. So he loses, and of course the guy who weapons manufacturer takes over Tristan's body, though he doesn't exactly leave the virtuality world. Though they do get out of there, everybody pretty much reunites. Tristan winds up in the body of a monkey monster, which I have the card for. I don't remember what it's called, like a monkey robot, which has a switch back of his head, basically, where if it's switched down, basically Tristan makes monkey noises. If it's switched up, it basically lets him speak his normal voice. And he spends most of the time in Serenity's arms the whole time. He's basically like this for the whole rest of the arc, for a while anyways. Yeah. And then, of course, they have a very interesting duel of right after this, Kaiba versus, I think his name was Grants, I think his name is. Yeah, he's a big, tall guy, brown hair, stick beard. And this duel lasts for a good, 4 episodes. Heck, there's one monster, I've never heard of this before, or apparently it's a satellite in space. And apparently it fires down on whatever monster basically Kaiba has in the field. And Kaiba uses the Blue Eyes White Dragon to destroy this thing. Yeah. And after this, there's not much for dueling after this until Kaiba faces off against the real antagonist, Gozaburo Kaiba. A guy who was referenced, I think, back in Season 1 as basically disappearing, because they do show Kaiba's backstory with his brother Mokuba, where he was able to come into the family due to the fact that Seto beat Gozaburo at a game of chess. Yeah. Yeah, the deal was if Gozaburo wins, he'll leave him alone. But if Seto Kaiba wins, he adopts Seto and his brother Mokuba right then. Right after that match. And of course he wins and he adopts both of them. Though the reason why basically a lot of the time Seto, now it was revealed that Seto basically turned down many families from adopting him because he wanted to separate from his brother. That's fine. Yeah. I mean, I'm sure it's probably, I don't have a big problem with that because I actually did not go to, I can't sympathize with him because my parents are still very much alive. So I can't exactly sympathize with him, but basically it's okay that apparently it's really his parents died like in a car crash, and so they had to do that. And it's not revealed exactly what his original last name was. It's just that when he was adopted, he took the name Kaiba because Gozaburo Kaiba, and when Seto Kaiba took over the company, basically he had 49% of the company, and Mokuba had a good 2%. Gozaburo had the other 49%. Excuse me, of the company. Yeah, and he thinks that Mokuba's on his side, and actually he isn't. So Seto gets the board of directors and Mokuba on his side, and basically forces Gozaburo Kaiba out. And of course, during the course of the season, you get a chance to see Noah's backstory, where he was basically born Noah when he got into an accident. And then Gozaburo did something really weird. He downloaded his dead son's brain, well, his mind, into a computer. And he's like this the whole time. Then pretty much after Seto and Mokuba were adopted, apparently Gozaburo ignored his actual original son. Yeah, as what happened to his body, it's never explained what happened to his body. It could be still in stasis, who knows. Just about dead. Okay. So, I think I'll pause it here. I'll do a part 2 of this, part B later, because I gotta get going. Okay. But, until then, I will see you there in part 3B. Okay? Till then, I'll see you there. Bye.